say, Brittany asks, do warlocks ever leave their victim alone?
Yeah, they do.
I'm starting to feel hopeless.
No, they do. Once you begin fasting and you begin to pray and you call the fire of God to come against them and you call the angels of God to fight against them, they do. Remember with the story with Daniel, when Daniel was fasting for 21 days, the prince of Persia would have withhold the answers that Daniel was searching for 21 days. And what happened is, when he continued the fasting and the prayer, that's what people would go wrong all the time. They usually begin to fast and pray, and when the warfare intensifies, they stop praying and fasting because they become afraid, which is what the enemy does. He instills the spirit of fear so that you become afraid so that you can stop. And once you stop, that means now you stop fighting against them, and so they would have prevailed or they win. But what Daniel continued to do is he continued to pray and he continued to fast, because Daniel understood when the fight intensified, it only means now that you are getting somewhere. And so the fight did intensify, and then the angels were sent to fight on his behalf. Had he stopped fasting and praying halfway, then that means the angels them would have never gotten the assignment, and halfway they would have stopped and gone back to heaven, or they just would have leave everything alone. But because he continued to pray and he continued to fast and he was consistent with the fasting until he got resolution, that's how he became victorious, and that's how the angels became victorious, because now they were giving the power and the unction to carry on based on the fasting and the praying. And so what you want to do against warlocks and witches and false pastors and preachers and so forth, you continue to fast and you pray and you ask God to send the angels out on assignment. You ask God to send his fire to consume them. You ask God to send confusion in the camps of the enemy. You say these type of prayers. Now, I don't believe in the send back to send the prayers, because when you're doing this, now you are taking part in the same witchcraft or sorcery that the person that's sending the attack against you is taking part in. And so when you pray the prayers, oh, I send it back to the sender, what you are actually doing is the very same thing they send to you, you just send back to them. And what they're going to do is they're going to intensify the fight and send it back to you. And you're constantly going to be in this same limbo saying, I send it back to sender, send it back to sender. And you're basically doing the same thing they're doing, and you're not going to be victorious. Why? Because you're taking part in the very same thing that they're using to defeat you. And so what you want to do is you want to be consistent in prayer. You want to be consistent in your fasting. And when you feel the fight intensify, do not give up. Do not become afraid. It only means now that the enemies are scrambling and they're trying to find every way to defeat you, but they are defeated. And what we also need to understand as believers is Satan has already been defeated over 2,000 years ago. He knows that he's fighting a losing battle. And so what he's doing now is he's trying to trick you. He is a great deceiver for you not to remember that he has already been defeated. And this is what they're not teaching us in the church. Listen, Satan already been defeated. He already fighting a losing battle. You already win. And so all you got to do is make use of the word of God.